Hello again, welcome to KitPlus TV. We're back with another fascinating chat with one of those people that simply makes stuff work.
Yes, broadcast facilities, streaming and AV solutions are made of many systems and many processes. And not all of these are necessarily that easy to work with. Many features are needed day in, day out, and some others are only ever accessed by the engineer setting up the system in the first place.
Yeah, to make life easy for operators, automate certain processes and make sure that all these systems work together, you need a company like Rascular that make clever software that sits amongst all third-party technologies, making it work, automating it, controlling it and monitoring it all.
Absolutely, and so we're pleased to welcome Ephraim Barrett from Rascular into the studio to tell us how things are progressing at the moment. Welcome, Ephraim.
Good afternoon, Matt. Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here with you.
Great to see you. Yeah. So, how has the last year been for you or for Rascular, and how would you categorise how you fit into the industry now?
Well, if I deal with the latter part first and say that where we've talk a little bit about where we've come from and where we're at the moment. We've been in the control side of broadcast facilities for the last few years now, designing software systems that control kit found just before you go to air, so things like branding gear, routers, video servers.
Right. Yeah.
And what's happening at the moment is it's a continuation of control of those systems, in essence. The last year or so has been quite interesting for us and challenging, especially given the situation that we find ourselves within. We started off developing systems for control in the NDI space, and that has been expanding, and it's been expanding across a number of sectors, not just the broadcast sector that we're used to playing in, but also in other areas that we're getting into for the first time, such as AV, educational facilities, in the medical sphere, in the university sphere, and that's all proving to be very interesting, challenging, and something to look forward for us.
So, Ephraim, I think it's pretty much spoken about that technology in this industry in particular is, what would have taken 2 years to come on has become mainstream in 2 months or so. What particular technical developments have affected Rascular?
Well, we have developed a control system and routing system in the NDI space, IP specific, and that's been very interesting because, as I say, we're seeing calls for solutions working across those market segments, and they're different application requirements to the ones that we're used to. So, for example, in the AV space, we're seeing projects where they're looking for an NDI routing solution, but it's not, if you like, the routing solution that we used to in traditional broadcast. The approach is slightly different. They're using automation systems from companies such as Crestron, and that's making for different requirements, or calling for different requirements that actually we're working very hard and very well to fit into in terms of our experience that we have in the broadcast space.
So, you say NDI, it's everywhere now. But from Rascular's point of view, is NDI only about the router control, or are there other aspects to this from your side?
That's a fair question, and interestingly enough, the answer is no. Whilst we're seeing demand growing for the routing solution, we're also seeing developments, requirements in other areas that you would call, if you like, traditional infrastructure type solutions for things such as monitoring, for things such as controlling presentation, and we've got some interesting developments coming along in that area.
So what trends are you seeing in the market, Ephraim?
Well, we are seeing, for example, NDI is starting to gain real traction in the broadcast space as we speak, and it's for different types of applications. We can take a major US broadcaster, national broadcaster that we've won a couple of, or pushed a couple of solutions into their facility, where one application was for distant working, where you have production staff wanting to work on clips that are in the NDI space and wanting to route those sources remotely so that they can edit them, etc., and store them back to servers and for other editors to be able to view those clips, and so on and so forth. So that's one requirement. And within the same organization, we had a very specific need, again, for NDI routing control, where they're looking to use their traditional, if you like, PC-based systems that they use for presenting data, election data, on air, and they are basically using scan conversion software and then routing those and basically converting them to NDI and routing those signals throughout the facility to the production switcher so that they can then use them in their on-air presentations. And that's more of a traditional, if you like, routing control requirement. So what I'm trying to say is the needs and the requirements are many and varied, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of want to say this is a how long's a piece of string type question now. But, yes, there's going to be some off-the-shelf products that you could probably say, yeah, just chuck that in there and it'll work. But a lot of what you do is probably quite bespoke to different, different organisations, whether it be a broadcaster or an education facility. They have different needs. So, again, I don't want to ask you a how long's a piece of string question, but is there some kind of idea about how long implementation from sort of saying, right, we need to get this simplified? How long does it take I know it depends on how complicated the solution is, but how long does one of these things take from asking you to come involved and for it to be delivered and working?
That is very much a piece of string question.
Sorry.
No, not a problem. To be honest,
yeah.
It can be as simple as saying we have a requirement, for example, to route NDI. We need an NDI router, and we have if you like, we have a product, Routemaster Lite. It's derived from our Routemaster product, which is essentially a router control system, and that we have essentially cut down, aimed at the AV space, where there is a requirement to route NDI signals, but the number's low. It's around about 20, and we've specifically focused it into 20 signals that it can route, and that it's got its own integrated user interface within it. We allow you to expand that, or you can expand it. We built the facility into it to expand it to take control from 4 control clients, and they can be web panels or hardware control panels. And that is as simple as saying, go to our website, download Routemaster Lite. You get a temporary license. You can approve the concept within a few hours of downloading the software, and then it's answering refined questions. And we've made it easy so that you can actually purchase it directly from the website. So it can be as simple as a day to how long do you want to make that testing and integration process last, and how complex is your system.
Yeah, how thorough you want to be.
Thanks, Ephraim. So finally, just before we let you go, we've been asking all of our guests to tell us something they've done or something they like to do outside of their proper job, maybe recently or in the dark days of history, that we might not already know. What have you got?
What I've got, it's been very interesting over the last period, sort of throughout the summer. There was a mad rush on the family front to go out and acquire bicycles, which were essentially like rocking horse droppings, but we managed to hit that one, and there were purchases of new bikes, used bikes, and that was quite interesting from the point of view of getting all the bits and pieces together to, if you like, essentially rebuild things. My latest challenge is back in the day, longer ago than I care to think about. I used to play bass guitar, and this is namely during my school days and sixth form days. And as life progressed, on leaving school, I let that all drop and got into other things. And in the last few weeks, I've picked it up again, and I'm learning some things that, quite interesting and challenging from the point of view of there were things that I've in terms of my interest in music hasn't died over the years, but it's been interesting just listening to bass lines from various songs and thinking, I wonder how you do that. I'm now starting to find out, and things aren't as flexible.
It changes your perspective.
Is the best way to put it. Yeah.
You listen to things in a slightly different way. I was pleased that you said that you'd kept it up. Well, not kept it up, but you'd started again. Yeah, it's a shame if you've got something like that to lose it completely. Brilliant.
Well, yeah.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to put a sort of broadcast manufacturing band together. I think there was one once a few IBCs ago. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Thanks to Ephraim for coming on the show. To see all our video interviews and kit reviews, then head over to KitPlus TV, which is brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy. And you can find out more about them at mediaproxy.com. Thanks again.